Welcome to the Filmistines, the podcast where we discuss all things movies. Join us as we dive deep into the latest releases, revisit classic films, and explore the art of cinema. Whether you're a film fanatic or just love a good flick, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we'll be breaking down the storytelling, cinematography, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready for some cinematic magic. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $20 tier grants the ability to request films for future episodes. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. All around you. And we're back with the next episode of the Filmistines, where we learn about films. What movie are we talking about today, my whale hunting friend, Lucy?
Today we're talking about Finding Nemo. I'm just kidding. Today we're talking about The Whale, directed by
Darren Aronofsky.
Darren Aronofsky.
From Brooklyn, I think.
He's from Brooklyn?
I think so.
Oh, interesting.
Did you like this movie?
Yes. I like this movie. I liked it the second time even better.
You watched it twice.
Yes. Watched it twice.
Yeah, I watched it twice too. It was pretty good. I liked it the second time better.
Yeah.
I liked it the first time a lot, but I liked it the second time even better.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Pretty much how I felt too. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
On your Letterboxd?
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't rated it on the app.
I was about to say, did you log it? You never log it.
Yeah, I didn't log it.
I'll
log it after this.
What are your high-level thoughts? What did you like about this movie? Was there enough fatness?
There was plenty of fatness in this movie. I guess this movie covers a lot of important themes. You know, you have your depression, your family themes, family dynamics, honesty. That's a big one. And
Empathy.
Yep.
Exaggeration. Health. Yeah, I guess that goes into my depression spectrum, I guess, you know. It's the kind of movie that makes you not like other movies as much, because it's just got a lot going on and is like really competently made.
Yeah.
It exposes your Netflix style movie a little more.
Who tries to give you those themes, but
sometimes, yeah.
I guess we can, just dig in with his obesity and how it's portrayed in the film. I'm not too sure exactly on how they got him into that suit. They did, I don't know where we heard it, that they did, was it at the Oscars, where they said that it was kind of special effects on some of the face fatness.
I'm not too sure how much CG went into it. I couldn't find too much about that. Yeah, I thought we saw that. I was like, what? And then I looked into it, and then I saw that the suit weighed 300 pounds.
So I think that he had a body suit that weighed 300 pounds.
That's nuts.
I think I read somewhere that there was this guy who had to wheel him around to his couch. I mean, basically, Charlie doesn't move around anywhere besides his couch, the bathroom, his bed. That's it. But and then I think the facial fatness and the pores and a lot of the details on the face
were CG'd.
Yeah. I guess how did you feel about Charlie's fatness?
I liked his fatness.
You liked his
especially
fatness?
liked that they made him feel really tall. I'm not sure how tall Brendan Fraser is, but why is that not on his wiki? Why would that be on his wiki, I guess? Well, Brendan Fraser is 6'3".
That's pretty tall. And I mean, he looks tall.
He looks super tall.
Yeah.
He looks super tall.
But when you're surrounded by, tiny actors like Sadie Sink and I'm not sure who plays Liz, they're small. So you can't have a full grasp on how tall Charlie really is. And he's sitting down most of the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a build up when he stands up,
At
and
the end.
We kind of get, I'm not sure, do we get angles upward with the camera?
Yeah, I think we did.
So it makes him feel even bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Hung Cho is Chow. Cho. C-H-A-U.
C-H-A-U. I would say that's Chow. Chow?
She's small.
Yeah.
So it makes him feel even bigger. Yeah, a lot of this movie takes place on the couch. It's pretty...
That's pretty amazing. They can make a whole movie out of just his couch. Just his apartment. I mean, how many other scenes do we have that don't include the apartment?
Yeah, I guess we never leave the apartment, really, because we're just on the patio at a couple points. And then the only shot I guess we got the introduction shot of that car driving.
The bus, yeah.
The bus. And then we see that shot outward from the patio to, like, the parking lot to see the pizza boy.
Yeah, and then I guess his flashback of the beach when he took Ellie to the beach. I think that was a flashback.
Yeah, that was a little ambiguous because it almost felt like maybe the life he wished he had. Less of a flashback and more of just what could have been.
Well, I think he talks about
swimming, that being the last time he swam in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it just felt a little ethereal because
especially
of
at
everything
the end.
else. Well, yeah, especially at the end. That's just, I guess that's the memory that was coming to his head at that last moment.
Right.
And it felt ethereal, but that's just the kind of exaggerated angle of the memory, I guess, because everything else is exaggerated in this movie.
Right. I don't know how many movies I've seen that stay in one place and you still get so much. You never feel like, okay, are you gonna film somewhere else? I don't think you ever get that feeling.
No, definitely not. They managed to keep the performances so tight that you just, your mind doesn't really wander about like, well, let's go see someone else. We're kind of living through Charlie for 90% of the movie.
Right. We have 6 characters.
Yeah, the only other movie I can think of where they spend the whole movie basically in one house is The Shining, which doesn't really count because the house is massive.
Huge. And the backyard's massive.
Yeah, there's like a big ass maze in the front of the house.
What about that movie that I fell asleep to? It had Anthony Hopkins as an old man with dementia.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good example. The Father. Yeah, excellent movie. That made me also think of a movie called After Sun, which was nominated at the 2023 Oscars. Mescal, I can't remember his first name. I can't remember if that's the actor or director either. But it takes place in a very low-key kind of middle-in hotel complex, which is kind of in that vein too. Doesn't go anywhere. There's like only 3 or 4 locations within the whole movie. Nothing else really comes to mind.
No, there's so
maybe
few.
Poltergeist. I guess the horror movies maybe kind of fit into that a little more.
I don't think so, because you have backyard scenes.
Yeah, not quite like this.
Someone
not
running
quite like
through.
This. And I didn't really feel a sense of, maybe ironically too, I didn't feel all that claustrophobic.
I didn't either.
Maybe because he wasn't a hoarder or anything, and we always were in the living room. It may have felt a little bit different if we were in the bedroom, but we were in the living room quite a bit. But I liked that. A lot of people did not like that because it came across really stage play, and this is not a stage play. It is. There is the original stage play,
right?
But this is not a stage play. This is cinema. So a lot of people kind of criticized it on that angle. And I think it's pretty fair, but
it didn't feel like that though. They did a fantastic job not making it feel like that. I don't think that's a fair.
But I mean, the biggest theme of the whole movie is probably the exaggerated nature of everything, and that's very stage play. So I guess that's like, if you're really looking for the kind of the separation of the two, I guess I could see that bothering you, but you can't get the level of texture and detail to the environments that you can in a movie than a play, because you gotta, you spend hours setting up this, each scene and stuff in this movie, and it's just, you don't get that in a play. I don't think. I guess I haven't been to a lot of plays, but I can't imagine. You're kind of working. It's fast.
You
stage
go
plays.
Fast. Yeah, there's no editing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no cameras to give you those up close shots, angles. I mean, no.
Yeah, there's no zoom ins or close ups.
Yeah.
There's no looking in the drawer. Like him, we see that shot of him looking at that one drawer. There was like a granola bar in there, and he was like, ah. And then he opened up the drawer,
candy drawer,
and the candy drawer, and he's like, yeah. You can't see that in a stage,
No.
Like, so like, I don't know. It's like with the Last of Us show, where you just get a lot more. You get the potential for a lot more performance over like texture of the world and lore, and so it's like it's just a different angle of how you can handle the medium stuff, and I think it serves it really well in The Whale.
Yes.
I mean, sure, it was just an apartment full of shit, but oh my god, it felt lived in to its fullest,
Mm-hmm.
When you watch Full House or whatever, I don't know, any show with a house involved, like everything's like, it looks like a show house.
So staged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, and that's like, I mean, that's just what you come for.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just like, this was awesome.
Yeah.
Beautifully built, beautiful sets, or whatever you want to call them. I guess, yeah, set.
So touching up on Charlie's, physical appearance, I don't think Brendan Fraser had to, undergo any physical transformations like with his own body, besides the prosthetics.
I don't think so. I think he actually has lost weight in the last few years.
Okay.
Because I think I may be wrong on that, but he was a little bigger a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, than he was 2 years ago when they filmed this.
Okay.
So, which was probably a little necessary just from a strength perspective and even ability to kind of be more mobile.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Weighed 300 pounds? I cannot fucking believe
insane.
that. So, I mean, he must weigh 250, right? Brendan Fraser a little more. And 300 pounds on top of that.
He's tall, so, tall people usually weigh a little more. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm amazed how much the suit weighed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got some criticism for that. I don't know if people really wanted like a true super large 500, 600 pound person in there, but accommodations that would be needed would be a lot. It'd be a lot to ask of someone.
Yeah, I think he said during an interview that he got vertigo.
Wow.
A lot during this process because of just in and out of that suit and that physical, you're removing that much weight.
Yeah, it's like Rock Lee taking off his. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but that's just like what, 20 pounds max.
Oh, I bet this weighed like
50.
Dude, I bet this weighed 100.
Holy crap!
I bet Rock Lee.
Yeah, but he was just talking about like the disorientation he felt, and just, I mean, that's awesome that you have actors willing to do these things. And I mean, that brings up a point on actors transforming their bodies for certain roles, and just how awesome it is.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so cool.
You know who's really famous for that? Christian Bale, the guy who did Batman.
Yeah, for Batman?
For everything.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, dude, he is a master. Or I guess him and his personal trainer or whatever, like they've just got that down. He was ready to fuck up his body for whatever reason. It's crazy.
I mean, that's so cool.
Like very cool. Brendan Fraser, I imagine he took several months of some kind of therapy to get into that mode of being that big. Like, walking the way someone would walk and picking themselves up. Although I'm sure practicing with suit on probably helps, because your center of gravity is all kinds of fucked up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so like I can see the vertigo thing easy, like especially they filmed this movie over the course of a month. It's not that long, but a month in and out of a fat suit like that. And I mean, it's not even just a fat suit; it's a fucking heavy ass suit. Like I can only imagine. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but that makes sense. Vertigo. What do you think about his performance? Do you remember? Did you write down any quotes that you liked him saying? I have one in particular that I loved. That I loved the first time and second time, and I was waiting for it, and I was anticipating it the second time, so it really kind of, got me. And I was like, oh shit, that was good shit.
People are beautiful crap.
People are beautiful crap. You think that one got me?
Is that what got you?
No. Why you think that one, motherfucker? Why do you think that one?
I mean, when he said it, that was beautiful.
Oh yeah, almost. I mean, to be fair, so many things he said were beautiful. I should have got the script out.
Yeah, he did an amazing job delivering everything.
Delivering and the dialogue, the written,
Yes.
like whoever wrote his work. I mean, everyone else was very good too, but oh my god, my favorite 5 words I think
Mm-hmm.
was at the very beginning.
At the beginning.
At the very beginning. Yeah, my favorite line in the whole movie was probably in the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes.
Okay. Wow.
And it's when Liz is checking him if he's wheezing.
Mm-hmm.
And Brendan Fraser's like, I always wheeze, Liz.
Oh my god.
I was like, I'm like,
The way he said that.
it's just awesome.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's
And
awesome.
I heard it too. But, you know, I don't know. I guess I'm a freaking child and all I heard and saw was Wheezy from Toy Story. And my mind went there when I heard that line.
Yeah, I definitely, when I hear the word wheeze, I don't think of, is that the penguin, the penguin guy?
Yes.
Forgotten penguin
He was
guy?
forgotten because his Weezer stopped working.
Yeah, I don't think about wheezy when I think of the word wheeze. I might
do.
now though.
I do.
But that delivery and angle on where I think we're kind of to the left and behind Brendan or Charlie, and he says that, and like he says that almost in a funny way, but it's like the most foreshadowy thing of the whole movie to me, where he's self-aware of his his expiration date.
Yeah.
Like it's just so. I mean, to be honest, this might be a little melodramatic as far as movies go, but it might be one of my favorite lines ever said in a movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, this isn't one of my favorite movies ever, but like, but I do love this movie. I'd probably get, like, on the Letterboxd, I'd probably get a 4 out of 5. Probably fits in that realm for me, just because of, I don't love Sadie Sink and the New Life guy
Thomas.
so much. Yeah, Thomas and Ellie. Yeah. Don't love the B tangent between them,
Mm-hmm.
or the B story between them. It doesn't take me out, but it's just, it falls a little flat. I'll think about that throughout though.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of Hung Cho?
Oh, I think she was awesome.
I wanted her to win at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was excellent.
And Charlie and her dynamic, their dynamic was awesome. Those were some of my favorite. Like, they were so fun, but they were so sad, and it just left me just thinking, and even now I could tear up just thinking about them.
Did you cry?
Oh yes, I have 2 scenes where I actually cried, and then a couple of scenes where I almost cried. And these 2 scenes where I almost cried, they were just having this, fun interaction between them. The first one was when she tickled him.
That's close to the beginning.
Yeah, that's close to the beginning. It's around the wheezing time. And she just tickles him, and he's like, and I just thought that was, I don't know, just so innocent and pure, and nothing like this movie was about to be. And then the other one was where she brought him the wheelchair, and he started backing up, and she's like, beep, beep. And he just looks at her like, what the fuck? And she's like, come on, it's hilarious. Like, just making that light out of a situation like that. Like, I just love that, because I don't know, in those moments, it's so important to do things like that. Like, with my family history, my little brother having cancer, and then my dad had his fall. Like, you're in the hospital, and you see a lot of these, your family members, your loved ones, they're disabled, or they can't do certain things. So, like, those moments are just so important.
Yeah.
So I guess that's maybe why they spoke to me.
Yeah, they're really classy uses of, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. I think I heard that's once a very New York perspective, which would be fitting, I guess, because Darren Aronofsky's from New York. And
yeah, but I just thought integrating those sweet moments like that was just beautiful.
yeah, and also I guess another one would be the her talking about stabbing him, and
Yeah.
he was like, you have to,
That's true.
you'd have to get a knife at least 2 feet long, because it's not gonna hurt him. Those really cute moments.
And then I guess the two scenes, well, one scene that caused me to tear up was when he was choking, and she saved him, and she was scared, I was scared, just tears, just streaming, and I'm like trying to hide it, because like, oh, if I just acknowledge it, more will come out, and then we'd have to pause the movie. But that was just like, oh, that hit me, because like he could have died right there, and she's there. And of course the end.
The end is
The end.
It's a tearjerker. The end definitely, I could see how the end calls upon those people who want to point at Darren Aronofsky for being pretentious, because it kind of takes this really for the most part, pretty grounded scenario, and then lays on this otherworldly kind of religiosity element where he just is saved from himself. He's lifted up, and that's it. He's on another world. And so I think what?
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, the whole time that essay gets repeated over and over. Yeah. The author is just trying to, save us from his own sad story. Like, you gotta see that coming. Like, he's gonna get saved in some way, or he's saving us from something. I don't understand.
I don't know what people mean by pretentious when they say Darren Aronofsky is pretentious. This is not the first time this has come up with him. I don't quite get it. I've tried to see it from that angle, and I just don't understand, because literally pretentious is,
if he made Charlie to be God or something, or I don't know.
But like, pretentious is basically pretending you're a genius when you're not. And Darren Aronofsky is, to me, he's undeniably one of the most talented filmmakers on the planet, and maybe ever, at least living.
Sounds like the people that are calling him pretentious are pretentious.
Hipsters.
Yeah.
Trying to not like Darren Aronofsky.
Something. I don't know how you cannot.
Yeah, I don't understand the weird feelings towards him. I really don't. I want to see what they see, just to like try to get it, but I don't get it. I loved it. I love the setup. I love how like 3 or 4 times, it's probably 3 times usually in threes, where he repeats or he gets repeated the essay, and and it's just a build up, and it pays off. I think it pays off in fucking scores, dude. It's so beautiful. This end is so beautiful. It reminds me, the only other end quite like that just wraps things up in the most perfect way, because movies, books, I'm sure you've read a lot of fiction, video games for sure, the wrapping up part is usually one of the weaker parts of the whole thing.
I agree.
And the only other movie, this movie reminds me of The Elephant Man in that way, where it just, it's not completely a full circle type thing, but it's in that wheelhouse where it's just like this fucking rush of relief, when Charlie finally fucking moves on, that you just, because you felt bad for him, you love him, he just is finally at peace.
Yeah, his daughter's reading him her essay. She's accepted him. She didn't leave.
He's given her the money.
Yeah.
She's relieving Liz of her duties.
Mm-hmm.
She maybe, he's not very religious, but maybe in some angle he's with Alan again.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome ending. How can you not cry?
Yeah.
Going back to the pretentious thing, I saw a video online of this big girl talking shit about the movie.
Okay.
And she basically says that, okay, so what's his name? Sam? The guy who wrote the play?
Sam Hunter.
He's not fat. So how can he possibly write
I didn't
something
expect you to
like
go this way.
And it's a film about the misrepresentation of fat people, and how pretentious he thinks he is, thinking that he could direct something like this to represent. It's so marginalized. I mean, I listened to this lady, and this might be kind of mean, but this lady was big, and she obviously had some health problems. I mean, every word she had to gasp. She had to take in some air. I listened to her. She was just taking in a breath, like, and I'm like, okay. I had to listen to her at 2 times speed for it to even sound normal.
Yeah.
But then she's going on this rant about how she's tired of people telling her she's unhealthy, and, you know, Brendan Fraser is just exaggerating, you know, all these fat people tropes.
I mean, yes, that's part of the artistry of the movie, for one, though.
She's going to die.
Yes.
She's tired of people. Life. Yeah, she's tired of people telling her she's going to die and all these things. And I'm like, oh, and she even went as far as saying that Brendan Fraser is possessed, because he's usually like such a good, caring person. How did he have the, you know, how could he have done this to the fat community? So he must be possessed. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, because they painted Charlie as probably the most loving person I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I know. he's way more loving than I could. Like, yeah. This movie is such an inspiration to, you know, people like me who never give people the benefit of the doubt, or, you know, like, yeah, I think he said, how people are incapable of not caring. Like, he thinks people
that's what he said.
Yeah. And I'm like that makes you think, and like, how,
yeah, it's probably my second favorite line.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful message. And, you know, it got me, because I'm like, well, I don't think a lot of people care. So it just makes, you know, it brings in that empathy. So yeah, her saying this about this movie, I'm like, did she even watch it, or did she just see he's fat? Oh my god, I'm a victim.
I guarantee you she didn't watch it,
because it was just crazy. It was crazy talk.
I might be walking out on a limb here, but I don't think anyone's human experience on Earth is unique enough to, you know, isolate it to those who have experienced it.
Yeah.
I don't think a white person's experience in Montana is that different of an experience from someone an Aboriginal from Australia to not think about what that might be and write about it. Like, you know who the author is if you're reading the book or watching the movie, right? It's not this canonical thing. Yes, this is how it is. It's fiction, you know? This is one of the beautiful things about fiction, is someone can write from so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine feeling that way. And it must come from a point of insecurity where, because that fat lady, she's lived her life as a fat lady, and she's been discriminated, no doubt, you know, all her life, or along, you know, when during the time she was big. And so she's insecure, obviously, about whatever it is. That's fine, but other people can empathize with that. She's like trying to tell you, she's basically saying you're not allowed to empathize with us. And that's borderline worse than racist shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's a deep, deep existential fucking problem.
Yeah.
That exists in a lot of people, not just her, but
she was so angry. It's
not okay.
Angry. She had to pause several times to, like, compose her anger, and I'm like, what is your problem?
She needs to ask herself why she's so angry. She's not angry with Brendan Fraser. She doesn't know Brendan Fraser or Darren Aronofsky. She needs to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
That she's masquerading it with society that's talked down on her on different occasions and stuff. And she's doing herself a disservice, because yes, she'll live a shortened life. Bigger people do and will, and they know this, and they're told this. And I'm sure it makes them hate so much, just in general.
Right.
I can't imagine, you know? It's no different than people with alcohol problems, and maybe people who are obsessed with whatever particular thing, and they're just, you know, told by their parents or whoever their whole life that that's bad for you, you know? It wasn't too long ago when people would tell you reading's bad for you, hurts your eyes and stuff. Yeah, maybe that's not as big of a problem as as drinking or being morbidly obese, because you're shortening your life, especially drinking and being morbidly obese, and you're doing yourself, and I mean, on one level, more importantly, you're doing all your loved ones a disservice.
I mean, and it's not only shortening your life, it's you can't even enjoy the life you do have. I mean, look at, Charlie. He laughed too hard and he couldn't. He lost his breath. He couldn't. I mean, he was masturbating, and that's what
couldn't even enjoy the little things.
Yeah, caused his cardiac arrest, whatever it was. The little thing. This lady on the video that I'm telling you about, she I had to fast forward it to make her sound like a normal person talking at a normal speed, just because she had to take in so much breath. She had to pause so much. Like, it's a lot. I mean,
yeah. I guess there's an element of the lack of self-awareness. Not that can fix obesity, but you also didn't wake up like that.
Right.
So, and it's not anyone else's problem. It's you and your loved ones' problems, no doubt. Just like any other addiction or whatever. But the solution's going to come from the individual. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Well, on top of that, they worked. And, Darren, I called him Aaron. And
Aaron
Aronofsky, that sounds better.
It's pretty close.
Well, they worked with the OAC, the obesity.
Oh, is that what it was called?
Obesity Action
They said
Coalition.
something about this at the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it called?
Obesity Action Coalition.
Okay.
The OAC.
OAC.
So they worked really close with them, trying to get a lot of these elements right. And even Brendan talks about how he wanted to get it right so bad that he worked with not only the organization, but the specific people in the organization with different health problems, different things about their lives. And he was just so passionate about getting it right. And then you have people like this, like, just shitting on him, calling him possessed. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, he was possessed by wanting to deliver the fucking the best performance on the planet. He was completely taken over by the character, if you mean possessed. Charlie possessed him.
She didn't watch the movie. She didn't do any research. She didn't listen to him. I mean, she just wanted to hate because
she saw herself. And this happens to each and every one of us. We see ourselves in whatever, and it upsets us in our, because it talks to our insecurities, and sometimes we're given the platform to, lash out, and hopefully she reflects on that and
I hope so.
Realizes that she's wrong.
And I want to say she had her comments turned off.
Well, that's a good sign of someone who's just trying to get attention.
Yeah. I
think. Or someone who's been getting a lot of death threats, which is unacceptable in every situation.
Yeah, that's even worse.
And I can see the angle to play a little bit devil's advocate of big people maybe being offended by the nature of the exaggerated nature of the film. But I think, personally, from an artistic point of view, I think the exaggerated nature of the film is important to depict this exaggerated way of living. Yeah. Because being big is not, it's like I said, it's not something that happens. It just happens. It's a far extremity of human life, of the human condition, and it requires nurture to make it happen. And it's a very exaggerated way of living. Just like something like hoarding is a very exaggerated living, or being like a super neat freak, clean shit, plastic on your couches and stuff. That's an exaggerated way of living too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think it's very important to it, the nature of it all. I know you said that a few weeks back about this movie being exaggerated, and I didn't place that word quite right away. And it just nothing describes this film better than that, I think.
Yeah.
than it just being exaggerated, which is, maybe a side effect of the stage play origins. But I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
And I mean, some of that exaggeration just kind of, it helps you with your, growth on being more, insightful, more, reflecting. Because I know that some of the more positive views on the movie, when they interviewed, big people, one guy was talking about how the part where Charlie, had the stash of candy drawer, and he grabbed one, he was about to eat it, and he's like, nah, I'm not gonna eat this. So he puts it back in the drawer, self-control, like willpower.
Yeah, in quotes, self-control.
Yeah. And then he reads about his condition, his life expectancy, and it triggers anxiety, and he goes crazy and starts binging. And one of the guys they interviewed, he was like, oh my God, seeing that, and that's something I do. We've all been there. In those moments, we've all been there. See, this is what I'm talking about. We can all empathize with exactly that. Most people just don't let it get that far. Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. It can be, there's endless situations where, what thing it leads to a next.
And one lady talked about how Charlie would always apologize. Like, I'm sorry.
I loved it.
And I honestly, I didn't pay attention to it the first time around.
Really?
The first time around, yeah. Until I heard that lady in the interview, and she was like, oh my God.
Have you ever known someone like that?
No. I've never known anyone like that, so it's just something I see on TV. I've never met an over apologizer.
I used to be like that.
Oh,
when I was little. So I noticed it right away. I was like, oh man.
Oh my God.
And I know how that annoys people.
Yeah. And she started tearing up.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God, I'm so glad they put that in there.
Yeah.
And until she said that, I noticed him apologizing to Liz.
Another form of exaggeration. But it's just because it's exaggerated doesn't mean it's not real, Right. It's just all these, what the movie kind of paints a bunch of exaggerations kind of together to create, an exaggerated piece of art. But all of this is really grounded, and it's all very relatable, and it's very cool. I loved how he said he was sorry, and I love how he got fucking yelled at and then still did it. He got yelled at and said, I'm sorry. Like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And then his ex-wife, or whoever she was, baby's mama,
Mary.
Ellie's mama, Mary. What'd she say? It's one thing I always hated about you is that you're so fucking positive all the time, basically, and that she's always. And then he was like, "Well, you're always cynical, and then we got to balance each other out."
Yeah, and then she's like, "I missed that."
Did she say she missed it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good stuff, and that's close to the end, and they just don't let go of it, and it's so sad. I wonder. Kind of back to the borderline minimalistic, locations and sets. They're not minimalistic, but the minimal amount of sets and stuff is matched. It's like I should say complemented, because the yin and yang of cynical and positive kind of reminded me of this. It's kind of matched with the minimal is kind of matched with the exaggerated. I like that. It's visually we have a very simple, realistic, point of view, visual kind of sensation, but intellectually and what we hear is so nuanced and so just out there. Not out there maybe, but in your face. It's just things are just repeated over and over again. We see the repetition. I guess repetition's maybe a little bit of a theme here. And we are just never given a chance to focus too much on the sets, I guess, is what I'm saying. So you never get bored with that. I mean, I think, and it kind of builds up in another way where when Dan is delivering the pizza. How many times do you do that? 2 or 3 times?
Yes.
3 times. You notice the 3s.
3 times.
It happens a lot in movies. I don't know if we've talked about that before, but
I think you've mentioned it.
3's often.
I don't think about it.
It's not always it's not the law, but it is the rule.
Yeah.
Kind of because it starts to initiate a pattern.
Yeah, because I think the first time was when they told each other their names.
Yeah.
And then the second time he asked him if he was okay. And then the third time was when they actually saw each other.
And that build up, I was going to say that build up for us to see from inside to out, because that was like our first time really seeing out from Charlie's perspective into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just being in the parking lot. But what looked back was disgust. That's all we got back.
I know.
So it's just kind of, that was a tough thing to watch the second time.
I definitely agree.
That's probably the most emotional part of the movie for me, was that moment when Dan was looking back and he was like,
Yeah, it made me want to jump in the screen and just give Charlie a hug.
I know, and you can't, and Dan, is just in shock, Yeah. Because, like, it's just really beautifully done, It's sad as fuck, and it's a very, less or more kind of situation, too, where they really, our only connection to the outside world up until that point is sort of Ellie's mom and the bird that keeps coming back. Everyone else comes for Charlie. We don't really get a lot of what's happening out there.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautifully crafted. That setup, We meet Dan. He's fucking an exaggerated pizza guy who's asking if Charlie's okay. Just like pizza guy would never fucking do that.
No. Especially now when they can just leave it at the door.
Yeah. And Charlie walks out there, or wheels out there, and they may have eye contact, and it's just that.
Yeah.
Only thing I would maybe say is maybe I wouldn't, but I'd like to see, like, side by side. I wish that stare was 3 seconds longer or something, Just a little more in shock or something, just to let it fucking sink in. Because that reflection back is just, because Charlie was seeing himself basically in that guy's face, and it's just so fucking hard, man. God,
yeah,
that was probably the saddest part of the movie for me, was that bit.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that bit until you just brought it up. And yeah, I mean he is, like, Charlie's just the most loving person in that movie.
Yeah, and of all fucking movies, Jesus Christ, name another character who's as loving as Charlie.
Yeah. And
I guess we get a little taste of that, but it's a little more close to home with Mary. She's like, basically like, well, look what you've become, man. Like, you need to go to the hospital, or she was like, you weren't this big before or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a little more familiar, and because they have a history, and it's not a reflection of what the world sees. It's Mary knows and loves him.
Right.
I can't remember if that happens before or after. I think that happens after. I think when Dan sees him, I think that's after Mary shows up.
Yeah, I think that's his that's his last meal.
That's his last meal, and it's fitting that it's pizza,
And just how he eats it after. He's, stacking a slice on top of a slice, and he's pouring the ranch, and he's just going on a binge from how this made him feel. I mean, that's genius.
Yeah.
How do you not appreciate that?
Yeah, and it's also exaggerated because he stacks 2 pieces, bunch of fucking ranch, which we've all done, at least the ranch thing.
Yeah,
and then he puts chips on some bread.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've definitely done that. I've never stuck it in jelly, but not too different than dipping your sandwich in a bunch of more ranch or something. It's so good. It's so powerful. This movie's so fucking powerful. Oh man.
How did you feel about Ellie and Charlie's relationship?
I liked it a lot. I'm not 100% sold on Sadie Sink's performance. Like I was saying, she's kind of 4th place probably in the line of people after Hung, and then Mary. I liked Mary's performance more than Sadie Sink, more than Ellie, and then Thomas is last.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. They're all good. Speaking of Thomas, he's the little boy in Insidious.
No way.
Yeah.
For real?
Weird, right?
That is weird. I don't know if I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, I
I'd have
couldn't
to-
either. Had to. If you saw some pictures, you'd see a little
Yeah,
more because he looked
okay.
a little. He looked a little down in the dumps in the movie. You know,
Yeah.
he looked like he hadn't been sleeping. But
Well, I like Sadie Sink. You know, she's in
I
Stranger
like Sadie
Things.
Sink. Yeah.
And I watch a lot of interviews with her in it.
Did you see one of this? I didn't see any.
I did see one where she's talking about Brendan and how she loved working with them, and I also saw like a brief clip of her and Darren Aronofsky
She got so lucky.
like
Hooking up with Darren Aronofsky.
actually I think he was saying how that scene where Ellie and Thomas are talking through the bedroom door, like side by side or back to back on the bedroom door, and Darren is like, I dare you to have a conversation like that ever again in your long career. Like, just talking about like how rare it is for actors to have conversations like that, through like deep conversations like that, not face to face.
Yeah.
And I think that was like just a clip I saw of them in an interview. But I mean, Sadie Sink, she's a sweetheart in interviews. You know, I don't get any.
Is she?
Like,
she's kind of a bitch in all the things she plays.
and
in.
she's kind of a bitch in all the things she plays, and I just thought that's just awesome
That is
and
funny.
hilarious. But I'm still trying to figure out like her character, I guess.
She's probably the most exaggerated part
Yeah.
of the movie, and that may have something. Maybe I can help you figure that out, because I'm still struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, we have to say, teenagers are already exaggerated characters.
That's freaking true.
And so she, I think, is forced by nature of the rest of the movie to be even more elevated in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And she is. And she does an excellent job at it, but she's so good at it, she fucking annoys me a little bit. But I think that's just the power and success of the film. Especially when she's talking with Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
I think her just rejection of him is just so good. So good.
I mean, she's hurt.
She's hurt, and she feels hurt.
She needs to hurt him.
And she tries, and it doesn't get to him that much, and it pisses her off. And she's just even...
She's probably never had that in her whole life.
Yeah. No, she probably hasn't. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Charlie basically, he reads... He forces her to...
Right.
Or, he begs her basically to write something,
Yeah.
anything. And she writes a little haiku. And the Charlie... It's just one of the best expressions of like Charlie's nature in in that little scene, because he's head over heels with her like geniusness,
Mm-hmm.
her intelligence, and it's hard to know how to take that, because he's just such a loving, caring, over loving human being, and she's just being a brat.
Yes.
But she's smart. She's smart enough to know what a haiku is and how to pick at Charlie, no doubt, know how to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what a haiku is, especially if you have a phone. And it's just such a fun, confusing little bit, because, also every parent thinks their kid's the smartest thing in the world. And,
Right. And he's a teacher.
So
teachers just have that natural, like, see the good in everybody and all their students.
Yeah. I guess I just like the kind of borderline vagueness of... I don't know where I'm going with that.
In the film, we get some aspects of forgiveness, Charlie is this, lovable, sweet, awesome person. But he did abandon her when she was 8. He did, cheat on his wife with another student, a man. I mean, he made mistakes. He didn't handle things how he should have handled things, and we don't know why he did what he did. We weren't there when he married Alan, and I understand Ellie's hurt. I understand why she acts the way she acts, but she just seems so evil, and it is so exaggerated, and I love it. She's got that knife, and she's just digging into the table, and I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah, and she posts that shit online.
You're so creepy. She posts the dead dog. I mean, was it dead dog?
Yeah, it was a dead animal.
Yeah,
and then
dead
him
animal.
too, when he was like
Yeah,
shirtless
and then here comes Charlie, like, she's awesome and she's so caring, and I'm like, no, dude, no, but she is, and I don't know. It's just it just goes to show like how much you can forgive, and how much you can put aside for your family and the people you love, because like she did that thing with Thomas, like told his parents, she recorded him without him knowing, took pictures of him smoking weed, and she's like, that just looks so bad.
And they forgave him.
Then they
Thomas's
forgave him.
Parents forgive him
for all the things he did, the money he stole.
Mary kind of forgives Charlie.
I know. In the first time around I saw it, I thought that was just kind of silly, that whole scene of her like putting her chest on his putting her head on his chest,
yeah,
and listening to him, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. But then the second time I'm like, oh my god, like it's just love, and it's pure, and like I don't know, maybe
it's complicated
with all this, like all these TV shows and books and whatever, you hate your ex. You hate him. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, he left with another man. Like how can you even stand him? Let alone, hug him, love him. And it's so awesome, and it's like just so raw, and I can't believe like I didn't see that the first time. It was the second time when it hit me, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just crazy, because I am just not that type of person.
Yeah, it kind of tears down your walls of relativism, and it forces you to put yourselves in shoes that you just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, which I think forces you to be a little empathetic.
Yeah.
What Charlie, I think Charlie would agree. That it just makes you completely incapable of not caring about what's happening.
Yeah.
When you get your own walls taken down.
Yeah, and then it made me think like, damn, my walls are really high up.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah. It also starts to paint a picture of what it's I guess it's just kind of from a filmmaking perspective, really puts nice texture on this relationship that we've only at this point, only throughout the whole movie, only get small glimpses of it through a few words here and there about him and Mary. But them together, it just, these guys were friends.
Yeah.
They were like best friends at one point, probably.
Yeah.
And so just completely elevates the whole thing again.
Yeah.
I guess one of the only things I wish we could have gotten a little more of maybe was Alan. But I don't know, that we maybe would have had too much of a target of it was Alan's fault why Charlie was this big. We may have gotten, even though that's not true, it's Charlie's fault why he's that big.
Right.
But they were able to, I don't know if it would have happened that way or not if Alan was more in the picture through dialogue or through flashbacks or whatever, but I can see a point where if he was there, we would have targeted him a little bit, and Alan would have been the villain on one level. So I don't know, maybe want to watch what I say there, but a little I would have liked to see in the storyboarding room if they thought about putting Alan in where he was to fit.
Yeah.
But I guess we did have a tether to Alan, of course, with Liz.
With Liz
being his sister. And that was, that whole bit is heartbreaking when she's talking to Thomas about. That's a good setup too. And I saw. I mean, you see it coming. It's not something, it's an easy thing to see coming where she's setting it up and being like, Alan was Charlie's boyfriend, or she's talking about her brother, going on and on about how New Life killed him, and then being like, that's, Alan and Charlie were in love. Setting that up. It's good stuff too. Good filmmaking.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have gone. I mean, because
was that shot with Thomas and Liz? Were we seeing Liz the whole time? I feel like we were in my mind's eye. I feel like we were, which is, in retrospect, in my mind's eye, makes it more powerful. I don't know if we saw it. No cuts, no edits.
No, we did see
a couple edits.
Yeah, we saw because she started smoking, and then she's like, sit, and she sends him to sit down, and then we have the edit. I think we have the edit of them looking at each other.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I wanted to bring up a point, but I don't know how to.
What do you got? What do you want to talk about?
How to say it, I guess. Just something interesting that, Alan killed himself, but we're the ones watching Charlie die.
Like some meta kind of
span of a
week.
I don't know, just kind of like how Charlie's grieving turned into depression, turned into eating disorder, turned into suicide, and like, yes, like Alan's suicide was the sad one, but I mean, so is Charlie's, and it's a slower one. I don't know, just a thought there.
What did the bird represent?
Charlie's Snow White feeding the birds. That's how nice he is. I don't know. I didn't give too much thought to the bird besides Charlie feeding him. Being, a good-natured person who feeds birds. And then, using that to also represent Ellie being evil and hurting. Did she hurt the bird? She just took his food, right? She broke the plate.
I don't remember, actually.
Yeah, I think she breaks the plate or takes away the food or something. Something happens with her and the bird.
Okay. Yeah,
like,
I guess
she's so angry that he's this kind of person.
Yeah, I guess was its intent then, is to kind of display that again. Because I guess we see that the only other animal we see was on her Facebook page or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a dead animal or whatever.
Going back to Liz and Charlie's dynamic. The first time around, I thought, she was an enabler. Bringing him food.
Yeah.
Not forcing him to go to the hospital, But then the second time around, I don't know. I just saw more of the helping and loving elements that I completely missed. Like, I didn't miss him. I got him the first time. But the second time, I guess it was just more powerful. And I no longer saw her as an enabler. I saw her more as a family member who just...
Like his last tether to...
Yeah. Yeah. Because the first time I'm like, why are you bringing him a sub? Why are you bringing him a burrito? Like, why are you enabling this?
Yeah, it's almost like begs the question of, I don't know if enabling's like in the equation of the problem anymore.
That's also true.
It's just like, and like, who knows about the phases of her not enabling and enabling throughout, and she knows from like the first scene she's in that he doesn't have long, and so maybe we're seeing the last bits of her making his life comfortable.
Yeah, that's also true. But I mean, I no longer saw any of the enabling the second time.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's hard to place yourself in other people's shoes, especially in your day-to-day life. I guess that's one thing movies are really powerful at. Or have the potential to really be powerful in, is placing you in a person's shoes that you would not have any tether to normally. Mm-hmm. Like, how many people know, a meth addict? Not everyone.
Right.
Some people do. How many people know?
Morbidly obese.
Morbidly obese. People. How many people know the CEO of Google. I
Yeah.
don't know, like these movies kind of, they can paint really interesting pictures about, often melodramatic and exaggerated and whatever, not super grounded and realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Usually grounded, I guess. A little bit, like Ford versus Ferrari is kind of like a movie that I imagine. It's like the movie, it's, there's a lot of them, but it's like the movie version of cranking up the sharpness on a picture. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, this is not how it happened. It was much more boring than this, but it's like there's like an edge to it that's just like makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see what you're
And
saying.
not to say that this is like that, because this doesn't tap into biopic territory, but it definitely helps build perspective, though.
Yeah.
They all do. All movies do. Shitty movies even help build perspective. You just know they're shitty perspectives. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that brings us back to basically where we started with that girl bitching about this movie. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's bullshit. What were you about to say?
That we've been watching more movies, maybe the past 2 years.
Sure. Yeah, 2 years.
And
Probably real close on the dot.
yeah. And I don't know if I've ever gotten that, like, powerful, like, change my way of thinking from movies like I do with books. Like, books have gotten that out of me. I have favorite characters. I have favorite characters who have taught me lessons in books. But in movies, it's just, it was just an entertainment thing. It made me laugh, make me cry. But yeah, they just, make you laugh, they make you cry, just...
Sure.
Right there in the moment, you leave the movie theater, you leave your living room, that's it. That's done.
It's
you
a
never think
passive
about...
medium, yeah.
Yeah. But now it's a whole new level of appreciation. And, movies like this one make it easier to have these, feelings from, such a visual medium.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. It's busting down those walls for you to appreciate a new art field.
Yeah.
Because not all art fields are easy to appreciate. There's no doubt about it, I mean, we're probably in the age of the least appreciation ever for, like, paintings and 2D work.
Oh my God, yes.
But could you imagine 200 years ago, people who, like, I'm sure it's the same exact feeling that you're feeling right now, but with paintings. Have you ever felt that way for a painting?
No. I'd have to think about it. My
you have to
first
spend time
reaction is no.
Yeah.
But I'd have to think about if I've ever gotten that. And, I'm someone who has dabbled in art. I'm not anti-art. I'm
glad to hear that. You gotta put the work in, don't you?
Oh God, it's exhausting.
You gotta put the work in. And reading is almost all, but it's all work because it's so active. Same thing with, like, video games. It forces you to appreciate it on some level. You have to learn it.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's easy to appreciate a book.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that.
I just notice things and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, minimal things in this movie that were just so powerful. Like, the end scene when he stands up and he's, dying, and Ellie opens the door and you get just sunlight and it just illuminates everything. And it's like, wow.
It's like completely white behind her.
Yeah, I didn't know sunlight could make me feel such a relief.
And it's like...
Or some of the scenes where she's like, just so angry and she opens the door like she's about to leave and it's like raining and gloomy outside. And I'm like, huh, look at that. Now I'm gloomy. Then she's leaving and I'm mad. It's just crazy that they can do this kind of things and make you feel a way, a certain way.
I think that was the first time and only time when it was sunny out, when he died. I
think you're right.
I think it was cloudy or raining all the other times.
I think you're right.
And what is that? I mean, her opening the door is it's a great just another duality that we have running here, where it's just like the gates of heaven opening up for him, and he wasn't even religious.
Yeah.
He was the non-religious one.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like glowing with the light coming out behind her and
Yeah.
stuff. And he walks and she's saying the stuff. She's saying the essay. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to talk to someone who thinks this movie or Darren Aronofsky is pretentious, and then just pick their brain about like what other movies they like. Just to see. Not to get into some debate, but just to kind of get a different perspective.
Yeah. I don't personally know anybody, but that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd probably let you handle that conversation, because I would just be like, why? Why?
What do you think of Thomas's character?
I agree with you that Thomas was kind of the weaker.
The weak link?
Weak link. Wow. It's a hard word. I don't know how I feel about his character. I mean, is the purpose of his character just for Ellie to mess with? To give us some more of that, hey, we can forgive, everything's okay, don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, he's lying to us the whole time.
Yeah.
He's lying to Charlie, he's lying to everybody.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
He is kind of on a mission trip, sort of,
His own mission trip, yeah.
Which is like
what mission trips should be.
Sure, yeah, of course. It shouldn't be like as planned and organized as they are,
right.
For sure. But I guess you maybe bring in an element of danger that cottage kids, or is it a kid? It's mission trip. It's mostly a young person thing, right? Mission
trips. So. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I mean, he's lying about being a new life, and I just think he gives us kind of a childlike element, along with what Ellie's bringing to kind of different sides, all the same.
Sure.
And I don't know. He takes Alan's Bible and reads that passage, which I wanted to reread it because I honestly completely forgot what it said.
Yeah, I don't remember what it said, but I don't love that he took it. I thought that was a little weird, but I do love that he obsessed over, like, he opened it on that first page, like that, the first time he opened it on that page, and he kind of obsessed over that one verse or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of something that happens with religious oriented people. They become obsessed with over a few. Yeah, they become fixated on a few verses, and I thought that was really cool how they kind of handled that. His character didn't go very far with Charlie, I don't think. I guess he was kind of that middle ground of disgust, because we had Mary, who's not disgusted, but just like, what happened, Charlie? And then we got Dan, who was like in shock.
Yeah.
And then we have this middle person who was like kind of put under the right conditions to be like, yes, you're disgusting. And so we had that kind of, three thing again.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to say it's forced. I don't think I would go into that angle, into that direction, but he felt, when Thomas was there, there felt like some kind of relief with the rest of the story. I guess, yes, literally the B plot took in place with him and Ellie. There was kind of that B plot moving along. But there was this element of kind of like, all right, Charlie is asleep. Every scene with Charlie is, I would say, pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like, on some level. That's
true.
It's pretty exhausting to watch Charlie.
Yeah. And I guess it helps with the whole honesty, forced getting out of him.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yes, you're disgusting,
Yeah. And what was Charlie all about?
Honesty.
Be yourself.
Say
what you
gotta
say.
Say what you want to say.
Yeah. Which,
which is what matters.
Which definitely forces us into like his class that he was teaching, which was
Right.
fucking awesome. I loved that I forgot all about it. I love the introduction of, I think we're zooming out at this point, or we're zooming in. We're zooming in. Yeah. We're on like the Skype type call, Teams or whatever, and we're zooming in on his class, and then we're zooming into the black middle square where Charlie is at.
And then that kid types in, when's his camera? Or is his camera still broken? Like something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, ha, ha, ha. Well, Mark, it is.
That's another kind of dualistic situation that Charlie sets himself up in, where he's not being really completely honest in the world. He's hiding himself, but he remedies that at the end.
Yeah, he tells him, I haven't been completely honest with you.
Which I love, that people fucking communicate, you know? What do people want? They want everything to be metaphors? Like, no, people fucking talk to one another, and this movie fucking talks to you.
Yep. There's no maybes in this movie. There's no read into.
No, there's not a lot of interpretation.
No.
Only just endless subtext in filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And just crafting this story. That's, nothing, not a commentary, not a social read on anything, or.
Yeah.
Like, this is Charlie, man. And it's probably my favorite Brendan Fraser movie.
Well, it's my only Brendan Fraser movie. What else is he in? The Mummy.
He's in several things.
Oh, isn't he? Didn't you tell me he was George of the Jungle?
Oh yeah, he's George of the Jungle.
I saw that once.
It's a good one.
That's it. I mean, is it up there on my favorite movies? I don't know, but it's definitely up there on my most powerful movies that have made me feel like a human.
You gotta be careful watching too many of these types of movies.
Yeah.
Just for your own psyche, but also this is one of those movies that it starts to pigeonhole you into the point of not enjoying other movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have that problem.
That's just a me problem.
I think that's just a you problem, because I still have Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6 is great.
In my top favorite movies
Big Hero 6
of
is
all
great.
Time.
One of Disney's last great movies.
Great
I guess
movie.
they're the non-Pixar stuff that they do, the high-end anime, Encanto, Frozen 2, and Big Hero 6, these last ones are pretty good. Much better than fucking Pixar, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I can still, watch my Walking Dead shitty shows.
Walking Dead, I'm not gonna lie, better than I remember.
Yeah?
Better than I remember in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just, I'm not going to say I still watch things how I used to watch things just for pure enjoyment. Because now I think about stuff. I think about the scenes and the camera angles. And, like when we were watching that episode and they're having that whole debate about whether they should kill that one man or not. And I'm like, hey, that's 12 angry men. And,
Then we counted them.
Yeah, and then we counted them. It's like, holy shit, it was 12. And
Definitely.
It's like, I never would have noticed anything like that before in a movie. Like, no, I'd notice it in a book, like, just like that, like, super quick. But in a movie, no, I'm just gonna watch the drama, like.
Yeah, you gotta work.
So it's a different sort of appreciation, but definitely still enjoy the bad stuff.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean,
Hopefully it doesn't change.
I guess on one level, I definitely have a guilty pleasure for shitty movies. Hopefully, I can maintain that. But hopefully it forces you to appreciate the movies that you like just that much more.
Yep,
know?
I think so.
So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I can't wait for the next Darren Aronofsky film. Hopefully, it's within the next 2 or 3 years. He doesn't have a lot of stuff, but
like quality versus quantity.
Yeah, most of the good guys don't make much. They really don't. Like Quentin Tarantino. The Coen brothers have quite a bit. Jordan Peele's working on his 4th movie.
Oh.
David Lynch doesn't have much. Stanley Kubrick doesn't have much. Martin Scorsese has quite a bit. He has the deal where he makes his own movie at the cost of having to make one for the studio.
Got
so
you.
he gets to bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
You have to think more about that bird. I think that bird was too centerpiece at too many times for it to not really mean something really significant. And I just can't put my finger on it. I really can't.
What kind of bird was it? Do you know?
I don't know. It's a good question. That may be important. But I think it's important that it's... I don't know, because there was a time where Ellie scared it away, and I guess she broke.
I think she broke the plate. Something happened with the plate.
I don't know. It might just be a sign of Charlie's energy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the weather.
Yeah.
I guess that's not the weather's not really completely attached to Charlie's energy, but just the energy of the movie.
Of the what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, because Charlie's always
positive.
More positive than he probably
that
should
guy.
be.
Ugh. I don't know. I mean, Charlie is a big guy. He can't move around that much, so maybe him just making an effort to make sure that bird gets fed, even if he's doesn't want to walk or he struggles to walk whether he wants to or not. He's still that guy that puts the food out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There was that little slick move where I think he was looking at that picture and then put it face down, and then I think Ellie finds it later face down. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I like how Thomas took Alan's Bible too.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
I feel like that's some shit a religious person would do. Take a dead person's Bible. It's good luck or something.
I think Charlie was just like, take this shit. Get this out of my house. And Thomas is like so obsessed. He's like, yes. And then he just runs off into his
because he takes it as a sign, Yeah. They're all about the signs.
If it's useful to him, it's more useful to him than Charlie at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess talking about Thomas through our conversation has made me appreciate him a little bit more. Because I think his character's at face value the more important because of the relief of Charlie, but we know when he gets hooked up with Ellie and the B plot. But there's something really subtle there and nuanced and just another element of forgiveness that maybe is necessary. How many times have we seen forgiveness? Probably 3 times. 3. That's good. If anyone ever asks you a cinema question, how many times something has happened in the one movie, an individual movie, 3 is a good question. A good answer.
Pick number 3, my lord. I mean, yeah, he's definitely a character you have to give him a little bit more thought. And for me, Ellie, I don't know. I feel like if I were to picture Ellie and her future, after Charlie has died, after she received that money, like, what is she doing with it? What does she decide to do?
I bet you she feels like the kind of character who wouldn't even touch it. She just wouldn't. She doesn't even want to fuck with it. She just lets it sit wherever it's sitting, and because she just can't. She just can't even deal with it because she has her own demons,
Yeah.
And I think that's it's too much.
It's a good point.
I think Thomas is maybe a good character also from the angle of giving us more perspective on another life, another set of problems, and kind of not only relieving us of Charlie's problems, but just kind of showing us that everyone has problems.
Yeah.
And it's just you need to place yourself in their shoes. And I don't know if Ellie was trying to help him at the end there, but she did, I guess.
I think she was. I don't know. Maybe Charlie rubbed off on me, but I think she was trying to help him.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Just, whatever happens, but I don't know what she was thinking, but I do think she was trying to help.
Yeah. Yeah, because we saw her break down a few times where we saw her shell get broken a few times, and we saw that caring person on the inside. And she did really have a lot of reason to be the way she was towards Thomas. And so a lot of it was probably a front, nothing. The core of the front was not directed towards Thomas at all.
Yeah.
Because it was directed towards her hatred of herself because she's a teenager and her dad. And probably her mom, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But That was kind of funny when she was like, if you don't smoke the bat or whatever, I'm gonna call the cops and tell them that you raped me. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like when she was like,
She's like, I'm just fucking with you.
Like, I don't like you. And she's like, because, you're not that smart. You're not that good looking.
You're not that interesting.
You're not that interesting.
And then she takes that back. She's like, you're kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think after they talk from on the two sides of the door.
After he tells her, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. How many movies have you seen two people talk like that through the door?
Like cool. Having a conversation like that, I don't know. Because you see your knock knock who's there or come out kind of situations in a few movies. But that
was a whole scene pretty much played out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And essential to Thomas's character.
Yes.
And to Ellie's character. I mean, especially if you're of the angle that she's a caring person, it's essential to her character because that's helps build her case to help Thomas out.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing I can think of, and it's not even, it's an animated film, it's Frozen.
Oh, that came to mind, yeah.
Yeah, that came to mind.
It's a great movie. First Frozen.
She's trying to communicate with her sister through a door, through a song,
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
That beginning's pretty sad in Frozen.
Yeah.
Why don't they just talk to each other? They're sisters. They're family.
Elsa's got teenage issues.
She's got some issues. Well, we'll have to do Frozen.
Oh, I would love to do Frozen.
We're gonna do Frozen.
I love Frozen. And watching it with my new
set of cinema eyes. Your third eye's opened up. Well,
what is it?
What?
Sasuke's Kakashi's eyes. The
Sharingan.
Sharingan. I said Shinigami. And
Shinigami.
I'm like, wait, that's I'm
Bakugan.
trying to combine
Byakugan.
Yeah.
Byakugan.
When you
sound like Hinata when I said that.
No.
No.
No. You should practice more.
Byakugan.
There you go. That's a little better.
Sorry about that. Well, this was an insightful conversation.
Thank you for inciting me.
For inciting? For what?
Inciting me.
I'm inciting you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for inciting me.
You're welcome.
You have any final thoughts? Well-deserved win. I wish it got a little more love.
Yes.
After watching it. But, I mean, nominations, recognition, it made money. It only cost $3 million. I know that's a lot of money, but for a movie that's nothing. It only cost $3 million. It made $50 million. Very nice. Very good.
Yeah, I lost my faith in nominations when RRR wasn't
bullshit.
in there. So,
and then everything.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But final thoughts. Awesome movie. Go watch it. Go feel something. Cry.
Don't be afraid to cry.
Feel it.
Yeah. Watch it twice.
Watch it twice.
I'm not a big proponent of watching movies twice.
I love watching movies twice.
I might need to start watching movies twice.
Ooh.
Especially the ones we cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different set of eyes watching movies twice.
Because you have that destination in mind, and so you just are more aware of the build-up. I feel like it makes you a little more conscious of it, and I don't know, is it an ironic kind of thing that knowing the ending makes the build-up much more powerful, makes the payoff much more like successful? It's weird.
That's very ironic.
Because it's like, spoilers, don't tell me spoilers.
Yeah.
But like maybe the spoilers might help. Might help you appreciate it a little more on the first go. I don't know.
I rewatch stuff.
Yeah, you love rewatching stuff. And I bust your balls about it.
Yeah, but
it's different. It's every time it's different.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm sure it's the same thing with reading books and playing video games and everything. And
yeah.
Then like listening to that song for the 1000th time, it's like, oh shit, I didn't hear that
lyric.
That lyric or that chord or whatever. Yeah. It's like I didn't know there were 4 guitars in this. I thought there were only 3. It's like, and they're playing over each other. It's like, wow, it's different. You have a different set of eyes every time you watch it, or whatever. And
I mean, you've said this before, like, mood matters so
much.
Mood
is everything. Yeah, mood is everything. It's everything when it comes to reading books. Everything, man. But reading books.
Yeah.
Reading movies, video games it's so important. So important.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I didn't notice a lot of these things that touched, my heart. And I didn't cry the first time.
Savage.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
savage. I didn't like Mad Max the first time I watched it. And the second I watched it, and it's probably one of my favorite movies of all time now.
Wow. Yep. I fell asleep to Mad Max.
Yeah, we'll have to get to that. I think you would enjoy Mad Max quite a bit. Okay. Yeah. It's got some John Wick energy and like sadness of like desolation and stuff, but it's mostly just action, and it's just a metal fucking action. Movie. Yeah.
Love metal.
Very cool. Very cool movie.
But
what are we gonna watch next?
What are we watching next? I don't know. Have we decided that?
I don't know. Hopefully probably we can watch John Wick or Renfield or...
Oh, Renfield would be good.
Something. We're going to try to get these out faster.
Next, book versus movie. Movie versus book.
Ding, ding,
They're not
ding.
fighting.
Yeah, they are.
They're fighting? I mean, the book's always going to win.
I don't know about that.
For me.
I think that's pretty debatable.
I'm biased.
I think that's pretty debatable. You're going to come to a point where you're like, wow, the movie's actually better. You will come to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how many of these books versus movies it will take for me to
Clockwork Orange?
I haven't read the book.
I mean, when you start to get into that territory, though, I think it's worth saying that you start to get into companion piece territory when the book and movie are both excellent, and they just kind of elevate each other. So
yeah, I guess that's true, because you can also you also have your adaptations, like it was just or inspired by
all your Romeo and Juliets, basically.
Right. So we'll see.
We'll see. Because like A Clockwork Orange, I think, is probably one of the big examples of major companion pieces.
We will see.
The Shining's kind of one of those.
Also, Clockwork Orange is something I'd probably need to see again, because I wasn't.
Oh my god!
A huge
I could watch that movie all day, every day.
Huge fan of that.
I love that movie.
But I might have been sleepy.
All right, you guys, thank you for listening in on this conversation. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Was this your favorite conversation in the whole wide world?
Favorite conversation in the whole wide world. I'm just gonna say yes.
Oh, nice.
And I'll think about it later.
Make our ratings go up. Leave a comment. Leave a review. Leave a thumbs up.
And if you are someone who hated this movie, tell us why. I mean, that's interesting. It will be an interesting point of view for me.
You're welcome to come on, even though we don't get any views yet. You're welcome to come on and talk about it. That'd be awesome.
And even if it's, 100 episodes, 200 episodes later, and you decide to go back,
you're always welcome.
You're always welcome to bring this back up.
Yep, that's true. Well, thank you guys for listening. This has been the Filmistines, talking about The Whale and Brendan Fraser and Darren Aronofsky and Sadie Sink and friends, and it's a great movie.
Great movie.
Have a good one, you guys. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. And follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.